I like to talk about games on this channel, mainly games I highly admire. Today though, is gonna be a little different, because today is the day we finally talk about and replay Halo 5 Guardians. From the moment this game was released, it was not received well by fans, myself included. From the false advertising, pay-to-win guns, bad customization, and unique story.
Hide and seek's over, Infinity.
What the fuck?!
This game has been picked apart thousands of times, so I'll try not to repeat or focus on the issues that everybody already knows about. And I am going to go into this game with an open mindset. I mean, it's been 6 years since I've last played this game. I want to try and find and talk about both positives and negatives that 343 brought to the table here. The only issue is that this game is not on PC, and my old Xbox is a 2-hour drive away. Is Halo 5 really worth that 2-hour drive?
Shit beautiful under pressure, I reside on the ropes. White Ferrari plane inside of the Buick, it's cold. You bring this hobby everywhere, what you carry, it's dope. I hop this black RA, but on it inside, it's dope. Time out, sit down, roll up, reboot. Me and you, going out, canoe, noble, black dress, full A, see through, I see you. Car me and shit, I'm too wild. Who the fuck told you? Sit down, sit down, sit down. Don't move, I'm pissed off. Flip out, in my soul, I break through. This race, it break you. This life, it takes you deep down, too deep, it hurts you. You have no fucking clue about who I really am. I know this shit like the back of my hand. Saying no bullshit, doing no damn. Throwing this money to fill my pants. I got a bag on a man. Coursing a guy, coursing a man. I got keys, so cut my hands, run my hair, slam my pants. Shit beautiful under pressure, I reside on the ropes. White Ferrari.
With the Shipbox 1 finally in my possession, we can play. But before we actually do that, let's take a look at the collector's edition that 12-year-old me thought I needed for some reason. I also have my brother's old Halo 4 collector's edition to compare to. Now, since it wasn't my Halo 4 collector's edition, not everything might be here, but I think it all is. So looking at the Halo 5 box, we can already see that it already looks really nice, honestly. It's a hard plastic aluminum shell with UNSC detailing all over. And opening up, we see our disc and a bunch of pamphlets on the right. We got free rec packs and the Fall of Reach series for free too. Pretty nice edition right there in itself. In the sealed letter marked Jameson Locke, we have lore cards for every major Spartan in the game. This is probably my favorite addition in the set. Next, we have a sheet detailing Locke's orders to hunt down Blue Team, giving us a deeper look at their end goal in the game. And finally, we have maybe the coolest feature for all the nerds in here, a buildable mini statue of a Guardian. Now, I never built it as a kid because I knew I wouldn't be able to figure it out, so I guess I have to do it now. It was worth it. Comparing this to the Halo 4 box, it's not even close. Halo 4 came in a cardboard box, has a manual going over some guns in the game, a single debriefing card to Thorn, what I assume is a poster, and some free Xbox Live shit. So right off the bat, 343 stepped up their game from Halo 4. So let's see if the game does the same. Halo 5 starts you off with one of the most badass displays of raw killing power we've ever seen Spartan pull off. And it's from a group of Spartan 4s. The speed, the strength, and just accuracy is all perfect to what a Spartan should be. And then the game starts. Yuck. This HUD has gone to be one of the ugliest HUDs in any FPS game. I mentioned it in my Halo 4 video that 343 really wanted to make it seem like the player was wearing the helmet, so they added the outline of the visor. And in Halo 4 it wasn't that bad, but in Halo 5, it's just too damn much. Not to mention the comms receiver constantly being on your screen, but we're gonna talk about the HUD later. The first mission has you playing as Team Osiris, compiled of Locke, Buck, Val, and Tanaka. I'm gonna talk about each character later in the video, but I'm just gonna say it now, I don't like them in the slightest. This mission has you tracking down Halsey and assassinating the current leader of the New Covenant from Halo 4. If you didn't play Spartan Ops though, you won't have a single clue what's going on. So let me explain a little bit. In Spartan Ops, Jewel Madama was a fierce foe and was being built up as the next big villain. So 343 made the genius decision to kill him off in a cutscene. Now I understand that this was to show off how effective and strong Team Osiris was, but like, come on man. Madama was a much better villain than what we got in this game. He deserved better. After saving Halsey, we got our first look at Blue Team, Master Chief Squad from when he was a kid. And man, let me just tell you how much I loved Blue Team. Before playing this game, that is. It was so exciting to finally see them in action. I don't know who the hell Linda is though, she's just kinda here. But Kelly and Fred, I've always known about and loved how they interacted with Chief in outside media. Linda's still just here though. Anyway, Blue Team was sent on a mission to reclaim an Oni research center that the Covenant took over. This mission is really just an excuse to have Chief start having visions of Cortana, and to have a reason to embark on the journey to go find her. We then get a cutscene of Halsey immediately knowing the same things that Chief just learned, and then she warns everybody else of Cortana's goals and power. So, Team Osiris is deployed to track down Chief before he can reconnect with Cortana, leading them to a planet run by an AI governor. I actually really like this idea of an AI being something more than just an assistant, and I think Governor Sloan is a really cool character. I wish we got more of him. This mission also shows the player how outside groups and normal civilians view the UNSC, and how disliked they really are. It's honestly deserved. Halo Reach did something similar by showing how afraid the people of Reach were of Noble Team, until George had a heart-to-heart with them. If only I was playing Halo Reach right now. Anyway, the majority of this mission is Osiris clearing hordes of enemies, helping the citizens reclaim their lands. Osiris slowly gains the trust of Governor Sloan, and he allows them access to the mines of the planet, where we enter the lava realm. As you go deeper, you encounter the first of many shitty boss fights with the Warden, a Forerunner guy in charge of protecting Cortana. He has borderline unlimited bodies, so get used to seeing him again and again and again. And fair warning, he does not get any more interesting, he does not get any harder, and he definitely does not get any more fun. His design is pretty cool, but aside from that, he's just like the rest of this game. Nothing. Once the Warden is quickly taken care of, Osiris pushes onward and finds Blue Team, and this cutscene is truly infamous. There is so much wrong in this little cutscene, from the lack of common sense that Team Osiris has, to the worst choreography in any video game I've ever played. I really don't want to focus on this cutscene because it's been talked about 100 times, but I'm going to anyway. A Spartan 2 is known as the strongest soldier mankind has to offer, moving faster than a car, hitting harder than an 18-wheeler, and being more durable than a Tesla truck. So with that in mind, how is a Spartan 4 going toe-to-toe with a Master Chief? Not to mention, he cracks his visor. This sucks. This is awful. And why is the rest of Locke's squad just watching it go down? Oh my god, it pisses me off so damn much. With Chief escaping and the Guardian deploying, Osiris has to escape the mines before they collapse on top of him, leading us into the next mission, entitled Evacuation. Very fitting, because all you do is run away from the Guardian in the collapsing city. While this didn't have to be an entire mission, it is. But with the addition of Halo 5's new movement, parkour is actually really fun and fast-paced. And while it doesn't feel like a Halo title, it's still just pretty fun to dash around. After that super intense escape, we get to see where Blue Team teleported to. And another warning for you. This is number 2 of 3 missions where you actually get to play as the Chief. That's right. There are only 3 missions where you play as the main character in a mainline title. Instead, we are trapped to play as a new character that nobody likes and nobody knows a damn thing about. Thank you, 343. Back to the game though. Blue Team wanders on this new planet in search of Cortana as she guides them on how to find her. This game pretty much took all the boring parts of Halo 4 and made them worse. Almost all the gameplay is nothing behind it, and it feels mindless and empty. There is 0 stakes. So for time's sake, we're gonna fast forward through the rest of this campaign. Chief and Cortana reconnect, and Chief gets informed of Cortana's plan to rule over everything with the use of Guardians. It's bad, I know, bear with me. Team Osiris in the meantime goes out to try and stop Cortana from collecting the rest of the Guardians. While doing so, we get to see a familiar face, the Arbiter. 343 really didn't try to do much with him other than just have him here for nostalgia's sake. And I think that's for the best, honestly. He doesn't help hunt down Chief, and he doesn't help Chief find Cortana. I feel like if he did anything more important, 343 would have just killed his character. So instead, Osiris just helps him and his army of elites clear the rest of the remaining Covenant. And before you ask, yes, Arbiter is still badass here. After wiping out the Covenant, Osiris boards the Guardian as it travels to Cortana, and we get another actual fun movement section, jumping down the side of the Guardian with what feels like low gravity settings. It's not too long, not too short. Compared to the evacuation level, this feels a lot nicer and just better paced. For our final mission as the Chief, we travel through the Promethean's final defenses in order to reach Cortana, where we have a 1-to-1 with her in order to change her mind. When it doesn't work, and Cortana continues to play God, she traps Blue Team in a stasis and brings them with her. This is when Osiris comes back with the Oracle of the installation, with the plan being to give the Oracle control of the systems again, stopping Cortana and freeing Blue Team. It's very anticlimactic, to say the least. Because even after all that, Cortana still escapes with the Guardians, leaving us on a cliffhanger where the next game was supposed to pick up. But since not a single person enjoyed the story in the slightest, it was pretty much scrapped, giving us Halo Infinite story, which, that'll be another video. With that train wreck out of the way, let's look at some other aspects of the game. such as... When I first played this game back in 2015, I did not like a single aspect of it. But now, almost a decade later, I can firmly say, this game felt pretty nice. Even though I haven't played an FPS game on controller in years, it felt pretty good. It's mainly the movement that carried this game. Halo 5 is a very fast-paced game, especially in Halo standards. And while it doesn't work as a Halo title, it works as just an FPS game. Other aspects, such as the guns, are either ruined or just not worth looking at. Others, on the other hand, got a much needed improvement from Halo 4, and a few just became insanely overpowered. Pretty much every Promethean gun got an update from Halo 4, so it feels sorta different. For example, in my Halo 4 video, I talked a lot about how the Promethean weapons are so unique, and well, that's no longer the case. The light rifle was turned into another basic DMR, the shotgun got heavily nerfed and is useless, the rocket launcher got nerfed, and the sniper just turned into a beam rifle. The only good change to come to the Promethean guns was with the SMG, or the suppressor if you pay attention to their names. In Halo 4, it had a large spread, decent ammo count, low damage, and very short range. But I guess 343 really liked this gun, because in Halo 5, I would always pick it up, because they gave it better damage, better range, and the bullets lock onto your target. Not to mention that every gun now has an ADS feature, for better or for worse. Some players hate it, some love it, and others like me just don't care that much. It can be quite a strange feeling on some guns, like the plasma pistol for example, but on others it works surprisingly well. Guns you wouldn't expect really benefit from the ADS, like the Needler. Honestly, Halo 5's Needler might be the most broken variant of the Needler. No matter what enemy you're looking at, they will die within a second of shooting it. It is insane. Speaking of the enemies, let's talk about them for a little bit. Another improvement coming from Halo 4 is how diverse Halo 5 is in comparison, with a lot of the combat being both Covenant and Prometheans. The Covenant are pretty much exactly the same except for the Hunters. Those guys were converted into actual bosses. They will one-shot you and they will tank thousands of bullets. Prometheans on the other hand kinda got nerfed. The Knights took a bit of a backseat and rarely show up acting like the Hunters used to in past titles. Instead of them as the common foe, we have a new enemy called the Soldiers. They're pretty weak and very easy to kill. The Warden is probably just as easy to kill, and like I mentioned earlier, he's the Promethean boss. This guy will get staggered every 2 seconds, he moves slow, and he has a very low health bar. He's nothing. At least you're not alone in this fight against nothing. You have your squad with you. And lucky for you, they have some of the worst AI I've ever seen. You can control their actions by using the D-pad, such as telling them get in a vehicle, target an enemy, and even revive you when you get downed. But if you don't do that, they will walk around like a headless chicken, doing nothing. And at the off chance you do go down, they will slowly walk towards you and die one by one trying to revive you. It's a painful watch. It's so insane to me that Halo CE, a game 14 years older than this, has better AI. My biggest complaint, however, is somehow with the aim assist. Maybe I'm just too used to PC controls nowadays, but this shit is so insanely strong, it made me miss more shots than it would have helped with. It locks on to anyone remotely close to your crosshair. It doesn't matter if you're aiming at them or not, you're locking on to them. Overall though, this game feels pretty good. It just doesn't feel like a Halo game. I think 343 was really chasing the hype of games like Titanfall and Advanced Warfare at the time, really trying to capitalize off getting some new players from those games. And while that worked for the multiplayer, it didn't do the PvE any favors. The final thing I want to talk about gameplay wise is how well it ran on the Xbox One, because I don't know if my Xbox is just getting old or what, but for some parts I would drop frames and it would feel like the Xbox couldn't handle the game, which is strange when the Xbox is only 2 years older than the game itself. I also noticed that if I walk away from an NPC, their resolution would drop. It's just weird. I'd expect a Microsoft game to run perfectly on a Microsoft console, but maybe it's just my Xbox being old, so I'm not going to focus on it too much. I still had a better experience than I expected. Kind of a win in the gameplay category. Oh, where do I even begin here? Let's start with who we already know. Chief and Cortana. By the end of Halo 4, Chief was vulnerable and alone. A lot of growth was made with his character emotionally. In Halo 5, however, we hardly see his character at all. So, what was that for? We can tell that he just wants to get Cortana back, but he isn't willing to rule the galaxy with her. But aside from that, we just don't see much from him. They built him up for nothing. Cortana, on the other side, was shown to be a loving hero at the end of Halo 4. So, 343 just had her turn into a crazy wannabe god. How did they end up with that when they were writing this game? I understand her viewpoint that she's still trying to protect humanity and end all war, but this is not her character. It's just such a massive shift in ideals, and it doesn't make any sense. I don't know if the writing staff was different for this game or what, but clearly they don't know Halo. Another familiar face in this game is Buck. We haven't seen this guy since Halo ODST, and honestly, he didn't change much, thankfully. They did turn him into a Spartan 4, but other than that, Buck is still sarcastic, arrogant, and a loving guy. Thank God for Buck, because the rest of his squad is not as likable. Locke is pretty much the main character of this game, and we don't know much about him. We know that he was a former Oni agent turned Spartan 4, and that alone is a pretty interesting concept, if they ever did anything with it. It's only referenced a few times. He does have an entire movie dedicated to him called Nightfall that gives us some more background, but ultimately there isn't much interesting about him besides his talents as an assassin. Val was my favorite member of Osiris as a kid, for the sole reason that her armor looks really cool. But now that I've grown up, I learned to not like her at all. She fills the role of the quick, smart, and nimble one of the squad. She moves light, carries an SMG, and even speaks Sangheili. She developed the skill to speak Sangheili by studying and comparing AI translations of the language. There's so much to like about her, but she's just so unlikable. Val is the cliche protege child, and it's just annoying. The final member of Osiris is also my least favorite, Tanaka. Her lore is honestly so boring. Her planet was the last, blah blah blah. She's another genius, blah blah blah. She just wants to help people, blah blah blah. I don't like Team Osiris if it wasn't obvious enough. Besides Buck, they're all too perfect. It doesn't help that almost all their lore is either barely mentioned, or it's just in outside media such as comics. At least Blue Team is composed of pre-established characters. I still don't know who Linda is though. Since we already talked about Chief, we'll start with Fred. Like all the other Spartan 2s, he was kidnapped as a child and forced to undergo the augmentation. And from a young age, he showed great leadership potential and will consistently lead his own squads. When he wasn't leading, he was acting as Chief's right-hand man. Chief and Fred are like brothers, almost equals. And the sister of this family is Kelly. She acts as the close quarters specialist. Not because of how big or tanky she is, quite the opposite, because Kelly is so small and she's also the fastest Spartan 2. So it's impossible to touch her. She's really badass. She's been with Chief since they were children and has a bond with him like no one else. Finally, let's find out who Linda is. After doing some research, Linda's a Spartan 2 like the rest of Blue Team and acts as a sniper of the group. With her ability to go into a Zen mode state while in combat, nobody's a better shot than her. She's mainly used to solo operations, but I guess 343 really needed to fill that fourth member of Blue Team. And after looking into her lore, she's pretty cool. It's worth looking into. Maybe I'm a fake fan for not knowing her beforehand, but whatever. Now that we know who Blue Team is, let's talk about them in this game a bit. They all keep their pre-established characteristics, but I feel like they all became kind of pushovers when it comes to Chief. They just follow him along no matter what, to make him happy, and it's kind of dumb. I don't like it. They took a beautiful family and made it really one-sided towards Chief. I get that they all love him, but come on, they would step in here. Not much has really changed stylistically since Halo 4, so if you didn't like the look of that game, good luck getting through this one. This game looks pretty much identical to Halo 4. The only things that really look drastically different are the new additions to Halo 5. Guns like the SMG and Plasma Caster are the only new gun additions, and as mentioned earlier, the Warden and Soldier are the only new enemy additions. The one and only key character design change lies in Cortana, again, taking her perfect, sexy, divine Halo 4 design and making her ugly. They kind of ruined her. I mean, she still got ass, but like, it's not even the horny side of me talking when I say I don't like this design choice on her. Something about her face, hair, outfit, and honestly her attitude is all wrong. I don't want to say much else about it because I feel like I might be insulting the model they used, and I don't want to do that. I don't think this is a good fit for Cortana. As for the other additions, I don't think they're half bad. The SMG looks nice, Plasma Caster looks like a Covenant weapon. Cool. For the new Prometheans, 343 took elements that made the Knights look really cool and just kept going with it. Both the Soldiers and the Warden have that skull face on the inside, and their bodies will also come apart like the Knight. The only issue I really have with their designs is that they look a bit too clean. They look way too polished for something that's supposed to be ancient, but maybe that's just me. I also don't like how the soldiers speak English. The Warden I can understand because he has some character to him, but not the soldiers. That just doesn't make sense. Speaking of the Warden, take a look at his dope-ass sword. That's a cool design. Also notice how he looks like a Bionicle. One thing that stayed completely consistent from Halo 4 to 5 is the beautiful look and atmosphere of the levels. The layout may not always be the best, but at least they look pretty good, except for the fact that the HUD takes up half my screen. There is way too much going on here. I briefly mentioned it near the beginning of the video, so let's focus on it a bit more. 343 decided that the majority of the edges of the screen would be blackened out to where the helmet's visor would be, and each helmet has a different version to match the visor, which is really cool in concept, but for actual gameplay experience, it kinda sucks. Here's a Reddit post comparing all of them, and some of them look pretty nice like the Gen 2, but then if you look at the Hunter helmet, it just covers pretty much everything. Why would the player ever pick that? Not to mention how much is actually going on your screen at once. You'll have like 3 waypoints, somebody's talking to you in the top corner, there's a red marker over an enemy, and whatever else 343 wants to add on top. It's too damn much. There's really not much to say about the art direction that I didn't already say in my Halo 4 video, or that's been said 100 times before. We all know the Arbiter looks awkward, the Hunter's worms don't move, and the Elite Spartans still don't look like they used to. The designs, at best, are just fine in this game. This section is going to be quite hard to do with the lack of multiplayer I can currently play, so it'll mainly be talking about the customization and the rec pack side of things, rather than the gameplay. From what I remember of the gameplay though, I was awful and hated it because it didn't feel like Halo. But a bunch of people really loved the Halo 5 multiplayer overall, so if you were like me and didn't like it, please comment and tell me that I'm right, and say I'm handsome too, thanks. Anyway, in most of my Halo critique videos, I often compare them to Halo Reach, because Halo Reach did everything perfectly. At least to me, Halo Reach is everything a Halo game should be. Reach that you customize your shoulders, your knees, your visor, helmet, hands, everything. Halo 5 lets you do your visor, helmet, and body. That's it. Just those 3 things. And the cherry on top is that you get to pull all these things out of a rec pack. If you didn't play Halo 5, or you just don't know what a rec pack is, it's a loot box. Yeah, Halo 5 uses a loot box system. Not only would you get the shitty armor, but you would also pull weapons to use in multiplayer. Guns you used to just pick up off spawn timers, you had to pull out of a loot box instead. And the cherry on top of that last cherry, these guns that you would pull had variants to them, making the game pay to win. There was a sniper that would one-shot you anywhere, there were better ARs, better everything. 343 turned Halo into a money printer, and people fell for it. It's insane how popular Halo 5's multiplayer really was. I was 12, and I knew better than these like 20-year-olds not to fall for this trap. Halo 5 should not be behind a paywall, but it was. And you wanna know what else 343 and Microsoft put behind a paywall? Forge. You need Xbox Live to play Forge. I don't have Live anymore, since I don't play in the Xbox, and when I tried to get into Forge or just a custom game for this video, I wasn't allowed. What kind of Halo needs Live to access a private custom game? Also, playing with your friends might as well be behind a paywall, because there's no split screen in this game. Both you and your friend need an Xbox One, Xbox Live, and Halo 5 in order to play together. Imagine trying to fill all 4 slots of the squad. It's an insane ask, especially when Halo's main player base was probably around 16 and 17 on average at the time. Everything comforting about Halo is missing from this game. It's such a slap in the face to players and fans removing split screen. It's good to know that 343 really listened to all the feedback from this decision and made sure that Halo Infinite also didn't have split screen. To close out this video, I want to give my final thoughts and the definitive bias on Halo 5. And while it is better than I remember and a decent FPS, is it a good Halo game? No, not even close. I've said it time and time again in this video, but this just isn't Halo. As an FPS game, it's like a 6 or 7 out of 10, but as a Halo game, it's maybe a 2. On a real note, I'm happy that 343 listened to all the feedback they got from Halo 5 and gave us an improvement in Halo Infinite. This game was definitely a mistake, and 343 sort of took these ideas and put them into a different game. So, is Halo 5 worth replaying? Maybe. If you're wondering if I enjoyed my replay of this game, even in the slightest, the answer is yeah. I think I did. It's a fun game to laugh at and has some unique mechanics. So, sure. Go ahead and take that 2-hour drive and grab your Xbox to replay Halo 5. While you're at it, you should like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.